he gives Derek a cup, I was gonna say he's to blame for all of it. He did, if you weren't, how many people were not here when he gave the presentation on doing the tables? Well, that's about a third of you. He did the most fantastic presentation, upbeat, it made me feel good for the rest of the day. But anyway, it was a really good presentation. And obviously we've come out with some beautiful tables. I'm not going to stand up here and talk about all the things that are going on, but let's do this. Oh, here's an interesting thought. These tables, the original instructions said they needed to be 23 inches tall. I think most of them are. They need to be 22 inches wide. Not too many of them. And 27 inches deep.
You just got to turn it.
We might have one. We changed that up front so that anybody can make them any size they want. And I know at least 4 people who have never made a table before that have one up here. And that's just fantastic. It's a learning experience. I hope you see these, you say, I've never made a table, maybe I can make one. Maybe we'll make more next year. If you have an idea for something to make next year, just let us know, somebody on the steering committee know, and we'll get Derek back up here to tell you all that. And, we won't let you tell him.
I already know what I want to do what to suggest for next year, but it's a surprise.
Oh, okay. Oh, God, I'm going to stay home that day. Yes, sir.
More lead time would be better. More lead time, more time to get ready for it, you said. It's pretty short notice
To make it
to make the table.
way ahead of time.
Oh, I'm sorry. We thought we gave what, 3 or 4 months. You just probably just saw it. You got to read that newsletter. There is a reason for it. Well, I'm glad you got one though. He's got a beautiful one up here. Okay, we asked him to tell us about the table, whatever they wanted to tell us. We asked them, what did you learn while you made the table? And since I know several people never made a table before, it's going to be interesting to see what they learned. I helped somebody and I learned a lot. It was fun. It really was. What was the hardest part? What finish did you put on it? What joinery did you use? Did you use anything that you heard from Mark Adams? That's kind of late for the table to be done, but if, it would have been, he came up with some things we'd used. Does your spouse or significant other like your table? We gotta have some fun. Will your kids want it when you pass away? Most importantly though, did you have fun? If you don't answer anything else when you talk about your table, tell us whether you had fun. And should we do it again, would you participate? Okay, those are the things we'd like to hear about. So let's get to it. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to do these kind of out of order. I thought we'd had more tables coming, but because John Abbey's is on the end down there, we're going to move that out and put it over here so everybody can see it better. We're going to start on that end. So let's see who it is. That's the reason for these little plastic containers is because I love cottage cheese. No. The reason for them is we got some numbers on the top. They're immaterial, but they've written their names on these so that we're going to vote on them. And when I say we, they asked me if I'd be judge, and I said, yeah, let's get everybody to vote. And I don't take the blame. Now, what you'll do after we get the presentation, you'll put your ticket in whichever cottage cheese container you like that goes along with the table that you like the best. Whether it be unusual, I'll go through the voting criteria in a little bit, it's short. So that's what these are for. They have a person's name on them because I need to find them after I count the tickets. Okay, this first one down here,
Hey, Greg,
yes,
do you want the tables moved to the center so that you can see them with the camera, or?
have you picked those up?
It's up to you.
Shall we move them up? Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay, he's gonna do it. No, that's good.
Should be hurting yourself.
Don't drop it.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Okay, now we got it on camera. There's some. I want to tilt it to, well, the person who comes up. Where's Dale? Dale Rose. Come on up, Dale. You didn't know you were gonna get first, did you?
I know, just my luck. I'm in awe of everybody else's table. Actually,
Here you go. Those old folks in the back can't hear you, and you'll let you use that.
I guess I can start out with what I made it out of. We tore down a summer kitchen at a farmhouse 5-6 years ago, and it had these gigantic beams, poplar beams underneath it. They're 12 by 4 by 20 footers. And I had about 20 of them, and I left them out, and carpenter ants got into most of them. So I had a few of them left, so I cut these radiuses out of that. The top piece, I don't know where I got this wood. Somebody gave me a piece of wood that was warped, they couldn't use, and I was gonna make a cutting board out of it, you know, because you can cut it down small enough. And this oak came from the auction over at Charles's house a few years ago. So I repurposed all that. And then I had some other oak out in the barn that was reclaimed from an old barn tear down. That's why you'll see the nail holes in it. Oh, what else? The design itself, I sit there trying to think something different. And I have Singer sewing machines. Every now and then we make a small table and put it on just the top for it. And put them on sewing machine bases. I looked over there and I seen the base, and basically that's the radius that they have on the Singer sewing machine, so I went with that. And then I didn't want to make this box square because of all the radiuses, so we cut all these pieces. These were just individual pieces glued together, and the same way for the center drawer. There's individual pieces glued together, and then I routed out the opening, and found another piece of walnut and turned it out just to put a knob on it. The top was, this isn't my design. I copied it from somebody, tried to do this inlay. But I guess when you copy somebody's work, I guess it's really a compliment to them, really. That's the first time I ever tried to do that. It turned out pretty decent.
Did you route showing you that inlay?
Yeah, you put one in and route it, put another one in and route it. It's really, it sticks as you try to get it
I
out.
wanted to show you, maybe we can get it on the screen. Hang on.
Oh, there we go.
He's stronger, everybody's stronger than I am. He did, he cut it out completely. It's not pieces put together, it's all one piece of wood.
Oh.
We'll put it back.
That was just a desperate
Okay.
thing to not use joinery, making it out of one piece.
Now I'm gonna tell my wife you broke it. And the whole reason for this table, excuse me, we got a puppy he's just a year old, little 6-pound dynamite chihuahua. And my wife, when we sit down for the evening, we have those recliners with the cup holder in them. Well, the dog will drink her drink. She doesn't like that, so she didn't have any place to sit her drink. The dog couldn't get it, so she wanted a table for the end of the couch. So and it's a real small area, so that's why it's this size. And I wanted the top real durable, because God knows what she's gonna put on it. And I didn't think polyurethane would hold up, so I went ahead and poured epoxy on it and did it that way.
Does your spouse like it?
Excuse me?
Does your wife like it?
Yeah, she's been waiting on it. I won't let her have it till I brought it. She comes out, she goes, "When you gonna bring my table in?" And
You should tell her you won and that you had to give it to the.
I sold it. But I always like to have a lot of people don't like, I don't know if a lot of people don't like it to see the nail holes, the patina there. But I like that in a lot of this furniture when you use reclaimed wood. And the finish, I started out, I didn't want to put a stain on it, so I had some water lux. I don't know if anybody knows what you use water lux. Normally you can just put that on there, you're done. But it's so thin, I couldn't stop it from running. I kept getting runs on all these surfaces. So I ended up having to sand it down some, get that out, and then I just put polyurethane on it.
What joinery?
Hit and miss. I don't know, these are slotted, this fits in here, and these are just butt joints, basically, for the legs, and these are half lap up in here. Not a whole lot of joinery on it, really, to tell you the truth. These are all just breadboards on the ends here. And I think I used my domino cutter to put them in. That's about all I can think of
Did you have fun?
at times. It's like anything else, you know. If something screws up, you go, "Oh, dang, I'll sand that back down again, do it again." In the top,
I'm gonna ask everybody, how soon before the end of this project did you finish? Like last night?
it's been done for a month. Because I'd already started to make her something, then the contest came along and it's kind of worked out that way.
So she's been waiting a month for this.
Oh.
Always gonna be happy.
The next person is Ken Sherwin. Can you get it?
Is one person with? This one looks like that. Got it?
Now let's make sure, you're gonna make sure everybody sees this top.
When my wife found out that we were going to be able to talk about these things, she told me, "You'd better write it down or you're going to ramble for 2 hours." So I wrote it down. You may notice that this looks a little different than the other tables, so it might help to understand the backstory behind this table. And I quote,
Will it still be 2 hours?
The rules specified that a 5.5-inch drawer be included. Since a knife drawer holds knives, a junk drawer holds junk, and a 3-inch drawer holds 3-inch screws, I reasoned that drawers are labeled and discussed according to what's in them. There is my 5.5-inch drawer. A 5.5-inch drawer must contain 5.5-inch things, such as 5.5-inch coasters, a 5.5-inch notepad, 5.5-inch pencils. And in case you don't think this qualifies as a 5.5-inch drawer, and therefore I'm disqualified, there is a 5.5-inch drawer. Because I've never made a drawer before, I decided to build it first, then build the cabinet around it. But after sweeping up one evening, per one of the suggestions in the rules, I was relaxing with some liquid refreshment. There might or might not have been alcohol involved. When I heard some noise from that drawer that I had just finished. While us segmented turners design our projects first, then force the wood to our will, stick turners claim to listen to the wood and let it tell me what it wants to be. I wondered if that was true for flat work as well. With no experience in flat work, I just didn't know. But when I paid attention, it really was talking. So I listened to what it had to say. And here's what I heard. Thank you for building me, but I don't want my beautiful knob to get all dirty with sticky fingerprints. My oak slides are too pretty to hide inside a cabinet, and my thick bottom makes me so strong that I could hold this entire project together all by myself. I want to be the center of attention of this table. I want to be needed. You might even say that I want the entire success of this project to hinge on me. It went on like this for a while, but I got tired of its boasting and fell asleep. I didn't wake up until the next afternoon because it's exhausting to have a conversation with a wooden drawer. I decided to make that wood exactly what it wanted to be, and I would make you flat workers proud that I had listened. This table is the result of that drawer's rant. The rules specified that a drawer be included, but it did not specify that the drawer had to slide. So the drawer was bolted. I lost my place. The drawer was bolted to one leg. See, the rule said it had to be so high, but it didn't say how many legs you had to have. So I bolted the drawer to the leg and hinged it to the top, holding this table together exactly the way that drawer wanted. I interpreted this to be allowable. The rules suggested that a hidden space be included. I think that drawer qualifies as hidden. When the rules specified the height, they did not specify the number, shapement, or placement of the legs. I'm a segmented turner, so one segmented leg made more efficient use of the materials in the shop and gave that egotistical drawer a place to sit. The top was the first flat work glue up that I had ever done, and predictably I had trouble getting good joints. A few visits to Rick Miller, per one of the rule suggestions, set me on the right path. Thank you very much, Rick. The rules specify the dimensions of the top, but did not specify a shape. Since the leg has no straight places on it, a non-rectangular shape for the top was thought appropriate. This top is a true ellipse, not just two half circles with straight edges. The rules specified that nothing can be bought. My shop did not have enough available wood, so this cherry was obtained from the club stash per the suggestion in Dave Dunlap's email. A few wormholes that were hidden on the surface show up in the leg when the wood was turned down, but that's character. The oak, basswood, maple, hackberry, bamboo, and cork were left over from various projects and still in my shop because you might need it someday for something. I even found good uses for a spare circuit board. It's the bottom of the little drawer. While the rules did not specify decorations, in both my house and my shop, there's no such thing as an empty flat spot. To prevent this table from being covered with dustables from an expensive catalog, we're not supposed to buy anything, remember? I chose to put a checkerboard in it. In case anybody cares, I brought the checkerboard template with me so you can see how I did that. A handful of leftover basswood and walnut segments from other projects became the checkers, and a little 5.5-inch drawer to put them in. The loose segments could be left on the table to prevent other more expensive dustables. The rules specify at least one drawer, one of which has already been discussed. And this 5.5-inch drawer was created to hold the spare segments. It also makes it legal in case this one was disqualified. As frequently happens, this project had a catch. I found this big old gate latch on the same shelf as the piano hinge. It really needed a small cabinet latch, but this one I did not have to buy. So Derek, that's your fault. There are 3 feet under the bottom of this.
We're not nervous about that.
Because a flat disc may not set correctly on an unflat floor. But I had some bamboo segments left over, so that became the feet. The height was made specifically to get the total height to exactly the dimensions of the rules.
Forgot to measure that.
You might notice that there are red and black cherries in there. After all, it is a cherry table. What have you learned by building your table? I learned that no deed, good or otherwise, goes unpunished. When my wife saw that talkative drawer, she didn't hear it, but she saw it. She said, "Oh, good, you can make drawers." The side tables in the living room need to have drawers in them too. So now all 3 tables have had drawers put in them. What was the hardest task you performed while building your table? I don't remember how many pieces there are, but getting this top, which is the first top I've ever glued up, getting those joints glued together properly required Rick Miller's assistance. So this was my first top. What joinery have you used? Plain edge gluing on the top and all sorts of gluing on the segmented base and box joints in both drawers. What finish did you use? Shellac, about 8 or 10 coats of shellac, buffed occasionally and then polished at the end for the leg, and the top is poured epoxy. A project with Arvid Olson prior to this provided the
Disaster.
a disastrous project. We learned a lot on that project, so this was inspired by that effort. Thanks a lot, Arvid.
Yeah.
Did you learn anything from the Mark Adams presentation? It was too late. Like the last one, this table's been done for about 6 weeks. I didn't know how long it was going to take, so I started soon after the first rules came out. Did you have any bench buddy? The cherry wood came from the club stash, thanks to Dave Dunlap. Rick Miller showed me how to glue up the top successfully. My son Greg cut out the master router template for the checkerboard, and Arvid provided the inspiration for the epoxy top. Does your spouse want to keep your table? Yes, it's been sitting in its permanent home for about a month. Will your children want your table? I'm afraid to ask. After my last experiment, I had to make 22 more of that one. Did you have fun? Absolutely. This thing was just a bucket of fun to make. What should we have as an item to build next year? I have no idea. I didn't even know I needed a table until this contest. So again, it's your fault.
Ken, when that box was talking to you, did it tell you it wanted to be up on a pedestal?
What's that?
Did that box tell you, put me on a pedestal?
I don't know whether you all heard that, but he said, did the box top tell me put me on a pedestal?
I have a question too, Rick. Ken, the drawers that you make for the tables in your living room, do those drawers actually work?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
What we're gonna do next year, we're gonna do 3-pound table. Okay, David Dunlap.
Talk about a tough act to follow. I just have a few notes. But, all right. I've never made a table like this either. I made a big dining room table for my son, Zoe. Where are you at? Zoe's table. I made it 10 or 12 years ago. It's still held together, so I did okay with that, I guess. But I thought, okay, the top, I basically built the table around the top. I glued it all up. It's just a cutting board, basically. The poplar you might recognize, Diana.
Yeah, I do.
The cherries from the club stash, like Ken's was. the walnut also came out of that Quonset barn, as did the oak. So those are the woods that are in the top. In Diana's poplar is all the leg structure at the bottom. I waited till Mark Adams came to try and figure out what joints I might be able to use. And I even told him when we were talking to him, Jerry, that we got this contest coming up, so if you can talk about how to, joinery that might be used in the table, that'd be cool. I don't think he did that at all. He had this thing he's going to do no matter what, and he did it, which was good. So I thought, how am I going to hook that top to this thing? I thought, anyway, there is joinery in this table. You're going to have to take my word for it that these pieces is mortise and tenon, but the bottom there's no tenon, it's just at the top. So the tenon goes into the legs just at the top, because that way you can't see anything here at the bottom. So believe me when I tell you that those mortise and tenon joints that are covered up by this top so you can't see them are exquisitely done. They perfectly fit. And I was amazed they were so good for that being my first joint. So you just have to believe me.
I'll testify to that.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, yes. Oh, yeah. There is some glue in there. But it was fun to do. Actually, I made those mortise and tenons. I have a mortising machine that I'd never used. It was a gift from my brother, who some of you guys had met. They came up for the kids' build. He and my cousin, my little brother, who's really big, and my little cousin, who's really big. But first time I'd used that thing, and it worked pretty good. Mark Adams said, I think, to use the dado head to cut the tenons, kind of. And I did that. And of course, I had to do some finish work. It's a good thing that I was able to cover them up with when they fit in there. It's not as exquisite in there as I said, but it works good. I mean, you did. It turned out okay. These other characters on their tables, they weren't brave enough to turn theirs upside down to show you that underneath it's just as nice as up above. They're hiding crap under there, I know they are. But I did, I finished everything. Before I put the top on, the finish on the stuff in the bottom is just as much as this on the outside. The legs are laminated together. There's 3 pieces of wood that I glued together to make those work. The drawer, well, while I got it upside down, you see the pocket hole joinery right there, and that's how the top is held on. There's little pocket holes around, and you had to be really careful with that, going through that skinny top. I was a nervous wreck. But none of them came through, so it turned out okay. I did not glue the top on, it's just the pocket hole joinery holding on. Yeah, and it fitted pretty good, so that's underneath. I'm gonna flip it back up. And I want Rick to see this, so Rick, here we go. Oh, there's the thing to keep the drawer from falling out. See how there's a little doodad there, so the drawer didn't come flying out and fall on the ground. And my drawer actually slides, as opposed to the first one had no drawer. Well, it's got a drawer, but mine slides, and it has joinery. Hand-cut dovetails. None of that machine stuff. I had never made a hand-cut dovetail in my life.
How long did it take you to make the drawer?
Well, it took me 2 hours to make the first dovetail. And you won't be able to see, but come up and look at this, because you want to take a closer look when you vote. You want to look close at this. This dovetail is a different size than that one. Well, I measured it. How'd that happen? I don't know, but since whatever, it turned out okay. Now the other side, see, that was number 1, number 2. The other side, they're both the same size. So I was getting better. So if I made another drawer ever, I'm sure it'd be just dialed in. Yep. So, in the spirit of things, just like Ken, I didn't buy a darn thing for this except the final finish, which I was allowed to do. That knob, I stole off another thing at home with that little pig head on it. I love that. I'm not sure I want to take it off and put it back on the thing I stole it off of. But we'll see.
You might want to ask Peggy.
Yeah. So I just glued the face of the drawer onto to the drawer itself. This is 1/8" plywood. I just cut a, you know, the slot all the way around, so it's in there all the way around and held well. I finished the bottom of the drawer and the inside of the drawer just as nice as I think as I finished everything else in the cabinet. So just in case, you know, anybody's ever laying down on, looks up under there, you know, they'll be able to notice the exquisite craftsmanship. Clearly a table artisan was able to put in that project. But I think that's pretty much it. As far as all the questions, I had fun. I really did. Did I have a bench buddy? No, and there's a reason for that. This guy, he gives me a hard time. He doesn't believe I make anything in my shop.
It is very clean.
He says, a shop that clean, you can't make anything. And I thought, well, shit, Rick. I can make something, so I made this. I didn't ask anybody anything. I should have, but I did not. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. I think Peggy likes it a lot. There's a specific purpose of it. It's going to sit right beside my recliner, so it's going to be, you know, if I'm sitting on my recliner, this is here turned around so I can use the drawer, but it'll replace a table that I had there before. So it was a specific thing. So when they said, well, if you don't want to use it, you can donate. Nope, not donating that. There's a lot of, I don't know the time, it was a lot. It took a long time. If I made another one, it'd go a lot faster, of course. You know how that goes. If you make one thing, you should probably set that aside and make the next one, because that's the good one. The first one's just a big experiment. But I'm proud of this. I'll hang on to it. The finish is that, oh, and I went to that, some of you guys weren't able to make it, but they had a special thing at Von Tobel where the guy from General Finishes came in and talked about all their stuff. So I listened to the story and bought a quart of the General Finishes that brand satin water-based top coat. So that's what this is all finished in. Next year, could we make idea for next, Sam Maloof rocker. We could. Why not? Let's take it up a level. Yeah. It's a serious question though. What do you want to do next year? Think about that. It could be, you know, you've heard about 2 before contest, whatever. Or say, make something, I don't care what it is, make it out of wood. You know, just as long as it's made out of wood. So think about it's your guys' club. We thought, Rick mentioned, we thought we were going to have a few more than whatever it is, 7 or 8. I don't know what happened to the other 3 or 4. But anyway, next year, if we could, you know, get a little more participation, tell us what you want to do, whatever that is, and we can make that happen. That'd be a lot of fun. There's one other thing. Let's see. Oh, well, the thing about what your kids want, I think it's a legacy piece of furniture myself, so I can't imagine why they wouldn't want it. As far as Ken, I'm not making any more for them, but if they can fight over that one, that'd be fine. All right, that's pretty much it, you guys. But it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I participated, and I'll look forward to whatever we do next year.
Here comes the culprit.
No, I don't.
My good friend Ed calls himself a retired wood butcher. And he was a wood butcher in the Chicagoland area, actually a remodeler. And he and Ed and Laura wanted something about this size. And he's the inspiration for this whole thing. So he carried this in today, and It'll be delivered to his house on the way home. It's made from pieces of cherry that I didn't even know I had. They were in the back, and some of them were rejected in the past because they had a twist or there were too many knots. Although I think knots are a beauty mark that I actually like to incorporate in the pieces that I do. The walnut, I didn't have enough cherry to make the skirts. But I had some pieces of walnut that a neighbor gave me that she said her husband brought home from a project at the bank where they had the entire conference room paneled in walnut and were putting it in the dumpster because they wanted it was too dark. They wanted something lighter in their conference room, so they tore off all of the walnut and were throwing it in the dumpster, and her husband brought it home. He died, and she had this in the back of her garage or something. So I had some pieces of paneling, and other than some nail holes which I worked around, that's how I made the walnut panels. They're floating in this frame. So the joinery is all done with dominoes. I did everything. I wanted to do everything in the whole project with dominoes. I like to do more dovetails and such and do them often, but this entire project is done with dominoes. And really, I have to give Ed, my friend Ed, the credit. Ed and Laura, don't forget Laura, for the dimensions and the idea that I came up with. Now, something that I did special with the drawer. First of all, I like to tell people when I make them a project that the drawers have a red bottom, and I always say, I'm going to give you a piece of furniture and a red bottom. So everybody gets a red bottom with my furniture. And you'll notice there are two compartments in this drawer, so that when the drawer is inserted, if we can just put it in, it only comes out so far unless you release it. And then the back compartment is where you put, it's where you put your Krugerrands. It's designed to be big enough, honestly, to hold a gun or some other special project. So, and I want you to notice that I used dominoes also to do the joinery. The finish is General Finishes top coat. The stain is a water-based stain, and nothing in this project was purchased. Even the finish, I happen to have some left over, and that's it. And the pole was. Sometimes when you make a project, there will be drawers, maybe 5 drawers or something, but you have to buy 6 poles. So this was a leftover pole that I didn't even know I had. And I want to thank Ed, my friend, for all of his encouragement and good advice. And this will end up in Ed's house this afternoon. Yes, sir.
Did you spray your finish on?
Oh, no. You see, in order to spray finish, I don't have a spray booth. So, and if I do any spray finishing, I have to go outside. Well, this was built during the time of year where first of all, the spray finish wouldn't adhere properly in the temperatures. And secondly, I just don't like all those solvents. I think there's a lot of people who have died from exposure repeatedly to solvents, and I think they're very dangerous. So no, I did not spray it, although you can use water-based finishes with spray nowadays. I understand they even spray finish cars with water-based finish nowadays, which is a miracle as far as I'm concerned. But no, it was not sprayed. Everything was brushed. My standard is to put at least 2 to 3 coats of a water-based finish. Now, I always use General Finish's top coat, and then carefully sand off the nibs in the end with 500 grit finish, and then the final coat is you take a brown paper bag and you crunch up the paper bag into a ball, and then you polish the final coat, and that gives you that baby butt finish. That's what I want. I want people to touch the furniture just like a baby's butt. So thank you for the question. Yes, ma'am.
With the tapers on the legs, is there a certain ratio when you make a taper?
No,
I feel like that's like really pleasing to the eye. Is there a certain ratio where you're
the way I design is if somebody comes to me and asks me to make it, if somebody comes to me and asks me to make something, I say, I don't want dimensions. I prefer that you tell me you want it. And so the taper on the legs is that's the scientific way it's done. Just like and I don't cut the taper on legs anymore with a tapering jig on the table saw. I do them with a bandsaw. I'm doing a lot more stuff these days with a bandsaw, and then truing it after I cut it. I just feel safer with a bandsaw than with a jig on a table saw anymore. I used to do them all with a table saw, but I don't do that anymore. And I just do stuff and because it's, if you make something like this, let me go back a little bit. In my career, I did care for people in I was in the Indian Health Service. That was the U.S. Public Health Service. You had to wear a uniform, salute, and all that stuff. And I was fortunate enough to provide care to a lot of people and from the Navajo Nation in Gallup, New Mexico. And one of the things the Navajo people are famous for is weaving rugs. And they always put a little piece on the bottom that goes out to the edge. And that's so their soul can get out of the rug and escape. And everything that you make has your soul in it. So there has to be some place for it to get out. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. For there is a hole in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. And I believe that. So, if you do something with anything creative, and you must be creative in some way, because if you're not, you're denying your humanity. That's what makes you human. And my mother, who was a painter, taught me that. You must be creative in some way, and that doesn't necessarily mean with wood. You can be creative in the way you raise your children, the way you do your gardening, but you must be creative in some way, or you deny your humanity. And if there's places that aren't just right, that's how your soul gets out. And anything you create, your soul is in that. Just like my ladies that I used to take care of on the Navajo reservation. You gotta have a little place for your soul to get out. And as far as the taper, getting back to your question, that's how you do it. Any other questions? Well, I would like to encourage all of you to be creative in some way. You'd be amazed at how that lifts your spirit. Thank you.
I would like to introduce our next guest. I've seen, I was gonna say one I need more coffee. This is Pat Beeson, and she is gonna show you her table.
Hello. I had Rick Miller as my bench buddy. I couldn't have done anything without him. And anyway, so I designed it, and we kind of set up a plan and stuff like that. We did most of the top and some of the sides were from leftovers from a tabletop or a countertop, 36-inch. I had two 36-inch wide pieces that, we cut down into tabletop size. And but anyway, so then the leftovers, and I had this piece of granite from a friend had given me, and then Rick, he gave me the wood for the legs and some of this other. So anyway, we used some dowels. We put some stuff together with dowels, and we did, was it mortise and tenon? Loose mortars and tenons to put the sides together with the legs, and I don't know really what to tell you. So it's like I love the top.
That's the drawer.
Yeah, watch that drawer. There it goes. It does have one of those little stop things, but I don't even know if I put that together.
This was just a simple, flip it up.
Oh, nice. Stops it. Cute.
Are those handmade dovetails?
No dovetails.
Steel dovetails.
Steel dovetails. By that time, we were just done. It was like, is this done yet? And I did use, Delft, what is that called? Danish oil finish and a golden oak. And I did 4 coats of that. When I'm looking at it, I'm going, yeah, it could need a little bit more, but I just got it totally, taken care of in the last few days. So anyway, so.
Did you have fun?
Oh, I had a great time. I was ready for it to be done, though. I mean, God love Rick, putting up with me a couple times a week, and he just lives down the road from me, so it was very, very convenient. Anyway, couldn't have done without him.
Where's it gonna go in your house?
Right beside me, sitting next to my recliner. And of course, my wife, she'd like to have one too. But I don't know if I'm up to making another one. She would like us to make gliders for the next challenge, so.
Did you put your name on it?
No, I haven't yet. I should do that though. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
Are you gonna stay a woodworker now?
I am. I'm trying to collect, I never used a planer, never used a joiner, and I got to use all those things at his house, so now I want those. So if anybody has one they'd like to sell, a couple or whatever, you call me, I'll buy it.
I'd say in order for you to make the next one, that's part of the project. I need this tool to make the next.
I do, because, you know. Well, you know what, I never like done any of the, you know, tried to make my own wood, so it was not to make the wood, but size it up, so. Always bought prefab, so. Anyway, any other questions? Yes.
I gotta tell a story on you.
Oh, no.
Do you need the? No, I was out there the one day that, I think it was in the very beginning when you were just getting started, and we were using the table saw, and it was one of the first times that you had your hands on the wood using the table saw, and I thought for sure she was gonna cut her arm off. Because afterwards, Rick and I look at each other and go, ooh. That was close.
You healed up fast, I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, you know.
You did learn from that experience, I think.
Yeah,
as well.
Definitely, so. There you go, young man.
I gotta add a little bit to that. She still has 10 fingers, all of them. And I've got a barrel and a half of sawdust. I'll introduce Nelson, not that y'all don't know him anyway.
Okay, this table actually was almost the third of this type I made. A couple of years ago, I built a cherry table like this, but it was smaller for bed stand because the plans that I'd found were too big. They had to modify it. Derek said I should have brought that in, but I figured, oh, those are 2 years old, so I'll make one for here. It's kind of a almost shaker style. I went with through tenons with it. So some of the information that Mark had last month was really great for that. I just wish I would have had it when I was making the tenons. It's oak from the auction they had, or the sale they had a few years ago. Some white oak, and then some of the top here is from the, Dave helped me get some of the oak from the club. That's the stuff that's really textured up here with the wormholes and stuff. I started to fill them in, and I thought, no, I'm going to leave that I'm going to leave that in there.
Character.
Yes, for character. And actually, I think it looks better with that than it would if it was smooth. For my top and the front of the drawer, I was looking. I didn't have enough of the oak I was going to use for the tabletop. The original plans for this had a breadboard top. And I didn't have enough oak for that. And I wasn't going to do the whole thing with this. So I was looking for something else, and I found these pieces of parquet flooring. Not the whole tile. I think there were 4 whole tiles, but the rest of it was little pieces of it that were left at my house when I bought it. And I had, I don't know where they ever used it because there was no parquet flooring like that in the house anywhere. So I cut it into strips, and I'm trying to cut it into strips and just made a herringbone pattern on the top of it. Beautiful. And then it was an oak plywood, so it fit really good with the other oak. The drawer is, it's got oak for the front, but it's basically some old shelf wood. I think it's poplar, but I'm not real sure. Just some old shelves that I had. And the joinery I did was, some of this was dado. I do have some dovetails, and those are done with a machine. I did with the router. And then the slides, I just routed out on this one. My finish is, I used a golden oak stain and then put a coat of amber shellac over that. It kind of brought the oak color out a little nicer. And then on top of that was just clear shellac. My wife definitely wants this because she told me before the contest she wanted this built. So this gave me a chance to actually get it done. So this is definitely going home for her.
Is it a matching set?
What's that?
Is it a matching set?
It kind of matches what's in our bedroom. They're made of cherry and poplar, and they're stained to cherry. So they're a dark cherry color because that's we had another piece of furniture in there that was already cherry, so that's what I went with in there. But in our in the room this is going in, we're doing more oak, and I have oak, and then I have some old poplar trim in the area. And the next thing is I'm going to be building a pair of colonnades for a big opening that I have, and she's decided she would like colonnades in there. It was a lot of fun doing this. I did not have a bench buddy. I just kind of work a couple, maybe work a couple hours and leave it and work a little bit. I actually had it done a couple of weeks ago. Longest thing was getting the finish on. Hardest thing was getting through tenons that looked like they should. Discovered a few ways to make them look like they should when they didn't. That's where the Mark Adams would have come in very handy earlier. Because I just did drilling the holes and then taking a chisel to square them out. Router would have been so much easier. Top is put on. I have some cleats that hold the top and the shelf on, and those are just put on with screws. Most of the rest is mortise and tenon.
And did you put your name on it?
Not yet. It will go on, yeah. That's one thing my wife always reminds me to put my name on things that I build.
And now we have it.
You got the hair.
So this is my first furniture build. This actually used to be a church pew from Covenant Church. So it's mahogany. When we first moved down here, my sister-in-law called and said, "Hey, our church is giving away mahogany church pews if you want some." And so yeah, I ran out in the trailer and grabbed a bunch, which wasn't smart. Free wood isn't free. Get that out of your mind. Anyway, I did make 2 benches out of the pews, but that really wasn't furniture build because I just built frames that the pews went into. Okay, this is actually built to go in between them. It's going to St. Louis to my sister-in-law, to a different sister-in-law. And again, this was my first attempt, but the challenge of this was working with wood that, she said church pews. I thought, okay, something Puritan, flat, straight, hard, Now, these things had nice curves to them and everything else. So by the time you get done milling, the thickest piece I had was just a tiny shade under 5/8 of an inch thick. So that made it challenging for some of the joinery and stuff like that. It is mortise and tenon joinery here, except the drawer is not. The drawer, I just did half-lap joints. So it made it, I didn't really go in with a design. So 1 and 3 wood isn't free, and design as you go isn't always a good idea. But, you got to work with what you have. And even things like there's a slight taper on the inside of these legs, but my backup leg really had a hole in the bottom for a peg that went in there, so I couldn't have much of a taper because I would hit the hole if I had to use that backup one.
So the wood drove the whole design of everything. And again, it was kind of a change as you go, adapt as you go, I guess, kind of thing. It was enjoyable. It was fun. There were some times my wife really didn't want to be in the shop because some words were said that she didn't like hearing. The person this is built for likes it. I sent her a picture. And she's quite happy with it. Again, it's going to go in between two benches of the same color. The finish I used was just Danish oil. And then when this hardens, the last coat of Danish oil went on yesterday morning. And you can smell it a little bit. I'm kind of hoping that the smell from the PVC glue here kind of overrides a little bit of smell here. So I will put like a wax, Watco makes a wax that can go on, a satin wax. So once it hardens, that'll go on. Let's see, what else to say about it? Not much. The person I made it for definitely wants it. My wife actually was interested. She said, yeah, it's kind of nice, you know, but we don't really have a place for much furniture in our house. We downsized coming here. Would my daughter want it? No. She's about to marry in a couple of weeks, she's going to marry a young man who's an absolutely excellent woodworker. And this might serve as something in the shop or something like that. But he's better. He's design-wise, this guy's light years ahead of me. So I don't want to insult him and say, look what I made for you. Kind of revenge. I have drawers full of stuff that, you know, little big ceramic things that, look what I made for you, Dad. You know, she's 30 and has a PhD, and she still asks, do you still have that thing I made for you? So anyway, I'm not going to do that to her.
Ed,
Yeah.
I'm just really impressed that your very first piece and you're already exporting out of state.
Yep. So anyway, I still have a couple pews left that I got to do something with. So when the contest came up and said, you have to use wood that you had, it's like, those things are going. So I found a use for the pews. And my wife was quite happy that they're kind of moving out of, I still have two more left. They're kind of moving out of the garage.
Does the drawer work?
I'm sorry?
Does the drawer work?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep, and actually, this is part of mahogany. I just used, 15-degree router bit kind of made the edge, because I didn't have any hardware laying around. So yeah, it is all, organic. I didn't go out and buy anything. I did go buy a tapering jig, so that was allowed. But I didn't buy any wood or anything. And again, that free wood isn't always free. There's an opportunity cost, and it wasn't until I got everything planed down and stuff that I saw what I had to work with. And like I said, this is a whole lot of thin strips put together. Oh yeah, the other thing is, it's going to St. Louis, which is a lot more humid than even here. And I was a little concerned about wood movement, and these are too thin, I felt, to use pocket screws and stuff to hold it on. So I was a little concerned about wood movement, and I ended up gluing it on. But I checked an online calculator first, and I said, for the size and the wood, probably wood movement won't be an issue. So it is on solid, I did try to take that into account, but there's nothing I could have done with it given what I was working with.
Would you work?
Free wood isn't free. This is the first time I tried mortise and tenon joints, and they came out okay. And this I should have known is that everything always takes longer than you think. Like I said, this second or third coat of oil went on yesterday morning. So everything takes longer than you think. The other is, when you run into a problem, think it through. Don't do something stupid just to fix the problem. Go have a cup of coffee, go take a nap, wait till the next morning, and a lot of times a solution comes up instead of trying to force something in where it won't go. And you're definitely better off having a plan than kind of as you go. So next one I will do like that. So that's it, unless there's any other questions.
Mr. John Abbey.
Okay, my table looks quite different than anything else, but anyway, I found in the shop a piece of walnut here for the top. This is one piece, and I don't know, I probably got it 30 or 40 years ago. And my wife thinks we need a table in the family room. We got a TV that hangs on the wall, and she wanted a table underneath it, so it's not very tall, but it works for there. And as I was digging the top out, trying to find something for legs, I found some other rough sawn pieces, and so I cut those down for the legs. Used a mortise and a tendon to get the cross piece in there, and it is the one before in the middle, angles. It's probably 100 years old. It came out of an old barn that we had on the farm at one time, and so I used it, a half lap joint there in the middle. Probably a screw would have held that well, but I needed it. My dad always says you got to be heck for stout, so I put 4 half-inch bolts that I had to hold that together. I think it'll hold it. Put a urethane finish on it. Probably one of the hardest things. This was just rough sawn when I got it, and I've got some sandpaper over there, but my grandson for Christmas gave me a package of three sheets of 80 grit sandpaper, and I don't know what kind it is, but it's purple, and it was real sharp, and it really cut well. Now there it is. I don't know what kind it is or where he got it, but I hadn't sanded the top here to get it smooth, and that's about it. So, anybody, anything? I think it is on it, yes. Probably my name and the date, I think.
So is it made to fold with the hinges, or that's just what you had to secure the top to the legs?
You're not supposed to look under there.
I got wood like that, and that's what I'm talking about. That's my kind of table right there.
I needed something to fasten the top to it, and I wanted little brackets or something. So on top of the legs, I had some, I don't know what you call it, glue that put paneling on the wall, so I put some of that on, and then there's hinges in here that they're not used as a hinge, but as a bracket just to hold the legs and the top together.
But they match those half-inch bolts amazing.
Yep.
Love it.
So it works. I don't know if you can tip this back. I mean, you don't have to look for those. They're under there. It's got hinges.
That gold bolt. Yeah.
Yeah, the hinges are just to hold the top. Because a lazy guy did it, I think. That's probably that. Okay. Anything else? I'm quick and easy.
Don't we have a lot of creativity in the group? Absolutely. It's just amazing. They're beautiful, they're creative. Glad I didn't enter one. I had a little, I told some people, I have a drop leaf table that's 6 inches in diameter and about that tall. I was going to put a drawer on that and bring it in, but I got too lazy. Anyway, thank you, Derek.
You didn't say the dimensions.
Yeah. Centimeters.
Put in millimeters.
That was my first thought. I was going to make them exactly the right size, but in centimeters. And I may do that anyway. Next year, we'll see how it goes. Thank you, everybody that brought in a table. And for all of you that enjoyed those stories, their stories, that was just amazing. It really was. That was well worth all the time and effort that went into making the tables, I believe. And the idea, just amazing. Now, to vote. If you haven't already decided which one you like the most, just some simple, some ideas. These are not in cement, nor wood.
It's not hard.
And they're not on paper either. There we go. The things that we came up with was originality, and that's going to be hard to decide. Creativity, again, hard to decide. Is it pleasing? You guys are going to have to work hard. Unique. Can you read my own writing? Unique joinery, finish, wood. And would you like to own it? Now there's one you need to think about a little bit. But that's the show. If you want to vote, we would appreciate it. There's little cottage cheese buckets in or around each table. Got the person's name on it in case you want to pick on somebody and not vote on that person. You do what you want. The pizza's ready. So we're going to grab some pizza, vote, get the voting done. I'm going to say, let's just do the voting to start out. Take maximum 10 minutes. I'll yell at you in 10 minutes and we'll make sure it's all done unless you're all eating pizza. I will say I was impressed with all the tables. I hope you all were as well. And the presentations. A lot of people won't get up in front of a group and talk, and everybody did, and that's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to start with third place, and then I'll go second, and then we'll get first. Okay? Third place goes to Pat Beeson.
Which one?
That's right there. This one right here. I'm real proud of Pat. She put up with me for a lot of days.
You're a good guy.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you.
Okay. Second place, Derek.
Derek,
Point to the table.
You can just sit there, Derek. You don't have to get up unless you just really want to.
Thank you very much.
Put your cards in the slate.
That's the federal
right there.
Point the table.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Federal too.
The big
You
one.
guys didn't pay any attention when they done that. No, this one's Derek. All right. First place goes to, anybody get?
Yeah.
Ken Sherwin.
Yay.
Ken Sherwin. I think he won because he got the best table, but he certainly talked the most, didn't he?
The second one.
This table right here, the one with one leg. It only, but look at all the pieces he had to cut to make that one leg. What's that?
5-inch box.
5-inch box? You did
Five and a half.
5.5 inch box.
You said it's on the table. Hey, did you guys actually measure that though?
Well, now this is the real this is the real 5.5 inch drawer.
Did we measure it?
Okay.
I'm getting old.
You're getting old. Aren't we all? Thank God. Any other questions? Oh, I do have one more thing to say. 4th, 5th, and 6th came within one vote of 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then there were others. But that, that only made two more people. So you guys made it hard. It wasn't hard to count them, but you had quite a distribution of what you like the best and what you like the best. Thank you very much for doing that.